Now this week, the EU's General Data Protection Regulation comes into effect. The idea is to make sure we know what data is being collected from us and when, and indeed how that information will be used. The protection is really for adults, as we can often be taken unawares in an online world. But where then does that leave children? Well, despite digital parental control limits, children can often out-savvy parents and see things they're too young to understand, or indeed share too much information and fall victim to online bullying. So how can we really make sure we're safe in an online world? To give us her perspective, we're joined on set by Milovidov, lawyer and digital parenting expert. Before we look specifically at the children aspect, can you just tell me briefly, this new European regulation, does it really change anything?
Yes and no. I think you set me up for that one. Yes, I think it changes a lot because now people are more concerned about privacy. They know that businesses are using their data. And then again, also we have the new rules for children, meaning that there's Article 8 and it talks about consent. And so we need parents' consent before children can do certain things online. Here in France, Germany, and the Netherlands, that age is at 16, whereas other countries it's 13. So we're going to see. That's why I say no, because it's going to be very strange to juggle this sort of age restriction. But in general, I think it's a good thing. I think that we're going forward, we're seeing that the government and companies are trying to regulate, and they're trying to protect the users.
If nothing else, we are becoming increasingly aware, especially with all the scandals of recent days and weeks. But give us an idea. I'm aware that when I'm online, things can be public, I can be sharing things without knowing, but what's really the risk? I mean, for example, if you have children playing on a game with an app, what are they running the risk of?
Well, you know, there are lots of risks, but before I even talk about the risk, I always want to stress the opportunities, because internet, technology, social media, I love it. I love all of them. And there are so many incredible opportunities. The risk is small, but it's there. I was talking with somebody last week and I was saying internet is like water. It's ubiquitous, but it can be very dangerous if we just throw our children into the deep ocean. But, you know, we need to start off training them small in the little wading pools. We need to help them understand how to swim. And it's really just that simple. But as I said, the risk will always be there. If they're on an app, if they're playing a game, everybody talks about stranger danger. Sure, there's those types of things. But there's also the idea that they can see things that they shouldn't see. And once that bell is rung, you know, you can't unring it.
So then, you know, there are a lot of parental controls online, but there's a lot of tech-savvy children that can get around them.
Of course. I've got two of them myself, and just a few months ago, my 11-year-old, he took off the parental controls that I had put on, but what was great is that he came in immediately and he said, "Mommy, I took off the parental control." And this is what I tell parents. I say, there are no parental controls. You are the parental control. Because if you're not communicating with your children, if you're not talking with them about what they're doing online, where they're going online, who they're hanging out with.
But it's hard to know where's the line, because as you say, it is like water. To a certain extent, our children need it. I mean, it's like being literate when it comes to reading and writing. You need to allow them to go online to develop skills.
Sure. And that's why I say there's plenty of opportunities, but you have to be there with them. I mean, just think back to the swimming pool example. You know, parents are going to be sitting there by the pool. You're going to keep an eye on them.
Until a certain age.
Until a certain age, exactly. And then all you can do is hope that you've taught them how to swim well enough, how to navigate the digital highway well enough that they can go off and do it by themselves. But right now, one of the things that we're seeing is that so many parents are just kind of, you know, throwing the devices at children, myself included, so no parent shaming. You know, I'm sure my boys are on their iPads right now. And so we really just need to stay involved and just not throw them out there like that so quickly.
Because I've heard you say in the past, and indeed on your website, it says make sure we read the terms and conditions of different websites we're logging on to, on different applications we're signing up to. I admit I don't often read the terms and conditions because they're long, they're laborious, and I don't always understand what I'm reading anyway. What should I be looking out for?
Well, I think it's already a great idea that to look. And right now I think that companies, especially we've seen lately with the scandals, they are coming to revisit this issue. So that means that they really are trying to simplify the terms and conditions. There are help centers on all of the social media websites. One of the things I do when I speak with parents, I say, do you know that there's a safety center? There's one for YouTube, Google, Facebook. Do you know that there's a parents portal? The resources are there. So even if you don't have a law degree, which I do, even if you don't need it. You can just dig in there and look around.
And come up with a cheat sheet, if you like, at the end of the day, of like to know what to look out for.
And when you say cheat sheet, you reminded me of one thing. Governments are starting to do that now. The safety commissioner in the UK has a one-page format on just, you know, what does it say on Facebook? What does it say on Twitter? And I need to do the same thing for all of my parents as well, because we need to help them understand.
Indeed, I think we're all, while we're in it, we're all slightly lost as well. Miss Milovidov, thanks so much for coming into studio.